good. Hopefully, maintindihan niyo po yung pag-discuss natin about oceanography. A short introduction lang pala sa self ko. So, RA po ako, sabi ni Ate Precious, RA po ako ng MadCrab. So, and previously po, nag-work din ako from NGO, from UPV din, mostly research related, and marine bio talaga yung yung field of specialty. Tapos yung Oceanog is a fun subject. Medyo interrelated kasi yung mga topics. Akala mo dito lang siya specifically, yun pala related din siya. For example, yung topics na meteorology, related din pala siya sa oceanography. So malalaman natin dito paano siya magiging related. So, ayun. So, oceanography. What do you usually think of oceanography? Do you think of biodiversity, mga climate, fisheries? Ito po, nag-dive po kami dati sa Bohol. Ito po yung nakuha namin. Mga sea anemone, different fishes, reef fishes. And ito din, part din siya ng oceanography, yung mga beach area. And this one is a satellite image of the ocean currents na specific ko lang sa Philippines. So makikita natin yung saan yung mga current, yung mga bilog na yan. Wait. Ito, yung mga bilog. Yan yung mga current po. So oceanography came from the Greek word oceanos and graphos, meaning description of oceans. So ocean mismo is the marine environment and graphy is the descriptive science. So meaning it is the study of marine environment which was coined around 1870s. So it is also oceanology or marine science. There are 4 main divisions of oceanography, and these are geological oceanography. It is the study of the structure of the seafloor and how it changed through time, creation of seafloor features, history of sediments deposited on it. And then next is physical oceanography, which is the study of waves, tides, and currents. It is also the study of ocean-atmosphere relationship that influences weather and climate, as well as the transmission of light and sound in the oceans. Next is the chemical oceanography, which is the study of the chemical composition and properties of seawater, and how to extract certain chemicals from seawater and the effects of pollutants. Lastly, the biological oceanography, which is the study of the various oceanic life forms and their relationships to one another and the adaptations to the marine environment, as well as developing sustainable methods of harvesting seafood. So oceanography is, like I said earlier, interdisciplinary science po siya. Related yung geology, yung biology, geography, chemistry, physics, including din yung meteorology, marine policy, and ocean engineering. So dito po, start tayo sa geological oceanography.
Excuse me, ma'am. Very slowly lang, ma'am.
Ay, sorry. Kinakabahan po ako.
Pasensya po.
Okay,
Salamat, ma'am.
Okay, so start tayo sa geological oceanography. So ito yung yung part ng Earth. So start tayo sa inner core. Yung sa right side yung ito. Right side are the physical properties and the left side yung mga chemical properties. So yung physical properties ng Earth are the inner core, which is solid, outer core, yung liquid, the mesosphere, asthenosphere, lithosphere, and the ocean, part na siya ng crust. So, and ang sa left naman ay chemical composition. Sa inner core kasi, yun yung made up of iron with nickel and sulfur. And sa outer core, iron with impurities. And then sa mantle, yun na yung mga silicate, yung magnesium, tsaka iron. So since the discovery of plate tectonics, ma-discuss natin yan kung anong plate tectonics mamaya. 'Di ba sa left nakita natin iba wala pa yung asthenosphere tsaka lithosphere kasi dati pa yan na na parang picture ng kung ano yung mantle ay yung structure ng Earth. Ito na yung updated as including ng asthenosphere and lithosphere dahil sa plate tectonics. Kailangan daw ma-distinguish ang difference ng dalawa. Yung lithosphere or rock sphere is relatively cool and strong. Through it, heat is transmitted by conduction. Below this is the asthenosphere ito. And the rock is hotter and able to creep, so at these depths in the mantle, heat is transmitted by convection. Although solid, the mantle acts as a very highly viscosity liquid, rather like glacier. The term asthenosphere comes from the Greek word for sphere of weakness. So, yung sa crust natin, meron ding nag-exist na Mohorovičić discontinuity or MOHO. Ito ay named after Andrea Mohorovičić, who reported a crust mantle boundary. Ito yung physical properties ng Earth's layer, lithosphere, cool rigid outer layer, asthenosphere, hot, mantle, denser siya, outer core, very dense, and inner core solid and extremely hot. As well as volume, yung crust, kung ano yung depth ng crust, yung mantle, tsaka yung whole Earth, aabot siya ng 6 kilometers depth, deep down. So yung crust natin ay may two types. Oceanic crust, ayon. Tapos, continental crust, ayon siya. Ang difference natin is mas denser ang oceanic crust, kaya yun yung mas nagsasubmerge compared sa continental crust kasi yung density ng oceanic crust is 3 while continental is 2.7 and basically mas darker yung oceanic crust and lighter ang continental. So yung seismic waves, that is one way of knowing the structure of the planet through the studying of seismic waves. These are the waves of energy that travel through the Earth's layer and are a result of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, magma movement, large landslides, and large man-made explosions that give out low-frequency acoustic energy. So may two types of seismic waves. First is the body waves. And second, surface waves. So yung body wave is ito yung primary waves or P waves. Ito yung wave na first talaga na ma-recognize ng seismograph, followed by the secondary wave. Next, yung surface wave, ito yung most damaging kasi yung body wave can travel within the Earth's layer. So, sa loob lang siya mostly. Pero yung surface waves, ito yung travel through the crust. Kaya yung mga earthquake na nakikita natin, yon yung most na nagkakos, ay yun yung effects ng mga surface waves. So, Rayleigh wave and love wave. Ang Rayleigh wave is a seismic surface wave producing the sudden shake in an elliptical motion with no crosswise or perpendicular motion. It moves along the ground just like a wave moves across a lake or an ocean. Ayan, parang wave lang sa dagat. And then yung love wave is slower than body waves but are the fastest surface wave and moves the ground from side to side. So love wave is also a seismic surface wave led to the horizontal shifting of the earth during an earthquake. So ito po, brief background on the plate tectonic theory. So in 1912, Alfred Wegener proposed the continental drift theory, wherein napansin niya yung mga looking at through old maps, napansin niya na yung ibang coastal area nagmamatch sa ibang continents. For example, yung sa India, tapos South America na coastal area. Tapos dun yun na parang naisip niya, hala, parang nag-fit together sila. Yun yung Pangaea na tinatawag, yung one continent before million years ago. Next naman ay si Arthur Holmes around 1920 na proposed na yung mantle convection theory, pero mas na-improve niya yan yung kanyang theory. And then by 1950s, after ng World War II, kasi yung during World War II, nag-improve yung allies tsaka axis ng kanilang mga technology, kaya ando na discover nila na yung paggamit ng echo sounder data sa middle of Atlantic Ocean, napansin nila Hazen at Tharp na may yung mid-Atlantic range. Tapos yung kay Hess naman, siya yung nag-propose ng seafloor spreading around 1960s, and various scientists in 1960s defined and refined the theory of plate tectonics until it is accepted. Kasi si Wegener mismo yung first na nag-introduce, pero parang hindi niya na defend ng mabuti, kaya yung ibang scientists nag-aaway kung anong gagawin, pero in the end na nila na pagkasunduan na yung plate tectonic theories na talaga yung nagagaya.
Nawala ata si Ma'am Jane. Tama ba?
Activity and earthquakes. So ito yung types of boundary: convergent, transform, divergent. So yung divergent boundary is they move away, the plates move away from each other. Yung convergent boundary naman, they move toward each other. So meron ditong ocean-continent collision, ocean-ocean collision, which is the two collisions form a trench. And then yung continent-continent collision form a mountain range. And last is transform boundary, where they move past each other lang, parang nag-grind lang sila. Yung napansin nyo sa Hawaii, 'di ba, island sila sa yung Hawaii is the state pero separated sila na island. Actually, they are what we call hotspots because these areas of intense volcanic activity remain in more or less the same location over a long period of geological time and are unrelated to plate boundaries. So yung main mismo na hotspot na volcano is dito siya. For yung first na mga islands na forms ng Hawaii, andun na sa dulo. So ito, let's say yung present Hawaii is yung Maui, Oahu, ayun. Yung movement nila is moving away from the hotspot. So ito yung summary, plate boundary, divergent boundaries, they move apart, convergent, they move together, and transform boundary past each other. So these are the tectonic plates. Ito yung mga pula. These are the tectonic plates around the world. Ang Philippines may sarili tayong plate, and then yung Pacific plate, which is yung may Pacific Ring of Fire. So the tectonic plates are where earthquakes are concentrated along the plate boundaries. So ito yung yung mga volcano na napapalibot sa Pacific, and then pati rin sa Peru. So ito yung tinatawag na Pacific Ring of Fire. So kung tingnan natin, ito na yung nangyayari kasi yung Earth may seismic activities na nagaganap. So in the future, since nagmo-move yung yung plates natin na yung Atlantic Ocean with oceanic range dyan, they move away from each other. So ito yung predicted na location of the plates 50 million years from now. So ito na yung bagong location, yung yellow brown, pero yung violet is the old area. Meron din tinatawag na Wilson cycle, which is named after the geophysicist John Tuzo Wilson for his contribution to the early ideas of plate tectonics. The Wilson cycle uses plate tectonic processes to show the distinctive life cycle of ocean basins during their formation, growth, and destruction over many millions of years. Ito po siya. So example ng stage is embryonic, uplift motion, juvenile, divergence, and mature is mas nag-spread yung location, declining, convergence na, terminal, collision, and suturing, convergence, and uplift. Next naman po is the stages of development in coral reef. So yung coral reef natin, 3 types yan, fringing reef, barrier reef, tsaka atoll. Nag-start yan from the fringing reef. This type of reef develops along a landmass such as an island or continent. These areas have ideal temperatures, salinities, and turbidities for reef-building corals. Fringing reefs are often associated with active volcanoes. Lava flows down the side of the volcano and kills the coral. Because of this, fringing reefs tend to not be well developed. Runoff from the landmass nearby can also bury the reef in sediment. Next, after ng fringing reef, millions of years later, nagiging barrier reef na yan. So these reefs are either linear or circular, which is separated from the landmass by a lagoon. Ito po, yung landmass, and then may water, and then ito na yung reef. Yung famous po na barrier reef sa Australia, ganun po. Tapos meron din po sa Bohol, nakalimutan ko. Pero double barrier reef din po yung sa Bohol. So, according to studies, most coral reefs grow at a rate of 3 to 5 meters every 1,000 years in the recent geological past. If the landmass subsides too quickly and the coral is not able to grow fast enough to maintain appropriate sea level proximity, the coral reef will die off. After yung stage ng barrier reef is lagoon kasi yung island nagsisink na siya. So leaving a tubig na lang and the reef. So tawag natin dito ay atoll, yung atoll po. Sa Palawan meron pong atoll doon. So ito, if the rate of coral growth is fast enough to keep up with the subsidence rate of the volcano, an atoll develops. The atoll encircles a lagoon that is usually no deeper than 30 to 50 meters. Generally, there are many channels within the reef to accommodate circulation between the lagoon and the open area. Oftentimes, buildup of coral debris forms narrow islands around the central lagoon. These islands can be large enough for human residence. So next topic po is ocean bathymetry. This refers to the ocean's depth relative to sea level, although it has come to mean submarine topography or the depths and shapes of underwater terrain. So bathos means depth and metry means measurement. So it is the measurement of ocean depth and the charting of the shape of the ocean floor. Example po, ito yung bathymetry ng Philippine Sea. Yung darker area po is yung sa Philippine Trench, meaning mga around 11,000 meters below sea level na po ito, and yung medyo mga blue, lighter blue, ano lang siya, mga 1,000 meters, tapos mga puti, less than 1,000 meters. Ito po yung land area. Tapos, yung Mariana Trench, malapit lang. And then the techniques to determine ocean bathymetry. So include soundings, echo sound, and echo soundings. So soundings of Greek philosopher Posidonius around 85 BC, and his crew probed the ocean floor using around more or less 2-kilometer line with a heavy weight to reach the bottom. So the SI unit for ocean depth is fathom. Echo soundings uses sound or ping from ship downward into the ocean, where it produces echoes when it bounces off any density difference, such as marine organisms or the ocean floor. They also use precision depth recorder around 1950s. They use focused high frequency sound beam to measure depths to a resolute of about 1 meter. And sonar, which means sound navigation and ranging, C-beam or multi-beam echo sounder, and satellite. So this about hypsographic curve, it shows the relative proportions of the Earth's surface at elevations above and below sea level. It is a curve that displays the relative elevations of the land surface and depths of the ocean. Ito po yung hypsographic curve. So the bar on the left gives a percentage of Earth's surface area at various range of elevation and depth. Ito po. And then yung sa right naman gives the percentage of surface area from the highest peaks to the deepest depths of the oceans, from, let's say, Mount Everest until the Mariana Trench. And so there are the marine provinces where they are found. So yung marine provinces, ito po yan, yung makikita natin from passive margin and active margin, wherein passive margin embedded with interior of lithospheric plates, not in proximity of any plate boundary, and yung active margin po yung associated with plate boundaries and are marked by a high degree of tectonic activity. So ito po yung different marine provinces: continental shelf, slope, rise, tsaka abyssal plain. Ito po, yung sa abyssal plain, bale may plain tapos may abyssal hill pa siya. So the mid-oceanic ocean ridge is cut by a number of transform faults, offset spreading zones. Ito po, transform faults, tapos oceanic ridge, and then they, which moves away from each other. Ay, sorry, mabilis. So comparison, summary na lang po ng comparison between the transform faults and fracture zones. Plate, are they found in plate boundary? Yes, yung transform faults are found in the plate boundary, while fracture zones are not. Tapos
oh, tangawan ako, dere.
Hello. So yung movement po ng transform fault is move opposite direction, while sa fracture zone same direction. And sa transform fault, there are many earthquakes and fewer earthquakes in the fracture zone. Relationship to mid-ocean ridge, transform faults occur between offset mid-ocean ridge segments, while the fracture zones occur beyond offset mid-ocean ridge segments. Example po ng transform fault sa Amerika is San Andreas Fault. And then yung sa fracture zone is the Mendocino fracture zone, Molokai fracture zone. Yung marine sediments po, based po siya sa size ng particles. So ang pinakamaliit, finest po yung clay, followed by silt, sand, granule, pebble, cobble, and boulder. So yung mga clay usually very microscopic and meron yan marami sa abyssal plains. Silt feels gritty in teeth. Tapos yung sand, beach sand usually. Yung transportation po is need ng malaking energy to transport a boulder in comparison sa clay. Kasi yung clay, it goes with the current na lang siya. So specifically, there are lithogenous sediments, meaning lithos, stone, and generate to produce. This pre-existing rock material that originates on the continents from erosion, volcanic eruptions, or dust. Beach deposits po, locally So example po ng mga lithogenous are neritic deposits derived from nearby land masses, including beach deposits and continental shelf deposits and pelagic deposit. Turbidite deposits of neritic sediments on the continental rise and can spill over to deep ocean basins. Abyssal clay po, usually red-brown po kasi sila because they are oxidized iron. So they are sometimes called red clays. Next po ay biogenous sediment, meaning life, bio from life. So they are composed of silica and calcium carbonate. Yung silica po galing mga diatoms, radiolarians, and calcium carbonate po from foraminifers, coccolithophores. Hydrogenous, mga manganese, phosphorite, and metal sulfide, which are usually found in abyssal plain, continental shelf. And lastly, mga space, dust, and meteors na yung cosmogenous. Example, thickness in meters. So ito po, the map showing the thickness of sediments in the oceans and marginal seas. Thickness shown in meters, our dark blue color represents the thinnest sediments and red represents the thickest sediment accumulation. The white indicates the available data. So dito po yung blue area sa dito yung mga thinnest sediments, mga clay, and example sa America, Mexico Gulf ata to, may mga mararaming sediments dito sa India as well as sa coast ng Canada and America. So what can we get from the ocean sediments? These are energy resources such as petroleum, gas, hydrates, and then sand and gravel, offshore sand and gravel, evaporative salt, phosphorite, and manganese nodules and crusts. So moving on to physical oceanography, it is the study of the physical properties and dynamic processes of the oceans and the interaction of the ocean with atmosphere, how the ocean stores and releases heat, the physical properties or chemical content of water throughout the ocean, and the formation and movement of currents and coastal dynamics. So NASA helps gather data on the ocean surface topography, sea surface temperature, sea surface winds, sea surface salinity, ocean surface currents, and sea ice using satellite data. So example po ng nakuha ko sa NASA na data is the sea surface temperature po. So in this area, dahil equatorial area po, medyo pula yung kulay ng dagat kasi mainit po. And then sa area ng Philippines, yellow po. So between mga assuming 25 degrees Celsius yan, while sa poles, yung blue, mga 1 to 4 degrees Celsius yung sea surface temperature. So yung water is a continual motion between the various components such as reservoirs of the hydrologic cycle. Ito po yung hydrologic cycle or water cycle. So usually from the ocean, nag-evaporate into clouds and then mag-precipitate into rains, and then yung ibang rain sa terrestrial area, so may infiltration sa groundwater sa ground, and then ito po yung nangyayari, and then may run off po towards the ocean, and then cycle lang po siya ulit. So moving to oceanic divisions. So ito yung mga pelagic zone or yung water column, epipelagic, mesopelagic, bathypelagic, abyssal pelagic, hadal pelagic. So yung photic area is yung up to around 200 meters depth only, because after that sunlight cannot reach further down, so tawag doon ay a photic area. So dito naman yung neritic is until towards the continental shelf. Beyond that is the oceanic. So general characteristics of the ocean. So physical properties of seawater include salinity, wherein the total amount of solid material dissolved in water such as sodium chloride, potassium, in parts per thousand, or ppt. And then temperature, or we measure the sea surface temperature defined as the temperature of the top few millimeters of the ocean. So the ocean surface is heated by radiation from the sky and sun, conduction of the heat from the atmosphere, and condensation of water vapor. So it is cooled by back radiation from the sea surface to the atmosphere and conduction of heat back to the atmosphere. Nagdoble. And then by evaporation. So another characteristic is the density, which is measured by grams per cubic centimeter. So seawater density varies from 1.02 to 1.07 grams per cubic centimeter and is dependent on temperature, salinity, and pressure or depth. So water stratification po. Part ng examples ng water stratification, yung halocline, thermocline, and pycnocline. Yung halocline kasi, it is the salinity changes more drastically with depth than it does in layers above or below. Looking po sa graph, from yung salinity at around 0 to less to 900 meters below is naglo-lower po from 35 to 34. However, below 1,000 meters sea depth na, bigla lang siya nag-change to, from 34, biglaan na siya 34.4 to 34.8. Same as well sa thermocline, pero temperature yung pag drastically na change ang depth. While sa around 900 meters, from 20, nagiging slowly move to 5. Pero Pero pagdating ng 1,000, instantly nag-move to 2.5 or less. Pagdating ng minus 4,000 meters below sea level. And pycnocline naman is the density, change in density. So yung density natin from 25 pumunta siya into 27, but then around 1,000 meters and below na, immediately naging 27.5 na siya. So part din ng physical oceanography is the global wind system, wherein may mga northeasterly trades, ITCZ yung sa area na to, and then mga westerlies and south mga trades. So at the surface, ocean surface, currents are primarily driven by winds. These winds help the atmosphere and ocean to move heat around the world. The winds drive an ocean circulation, transporting warm water to the poles along the sea surface. Warm surface currents invariably flows from the tropics to the higher latitude, driven mainly by the atmospheric winds as well as the Earth's rotation. Cold surface currents come from the polar and temperate latitudes, and they tend to flow towards the equator. Like the warm surface currents, they are driven mainly by the wind. So ito yung wind-driven circulation. It is a movement of ocean water that is driven by winds. This includes most horizontal movements in the surface waters of the world's oceans. Different movement in northern and southern hemisphere, wherein the wind is moving clockwise in northern and counterclockwise in the southern. Ito po sa upper northern hemisphere, clockwise movement po, for example, sa Gulf Stream, from northern equatorial, Gulf Stream, Atlantic Drift, Canary, and back. Pero dito po sa South Atlantic, counterclockwise ang movement. So South Atlantic, Benguela, South Equatorial, Brazil, ganun po. Opposite po yung direction ng circulation. This is due to the Coriolis effect, wherein the rotation of the Earth on its axis deflects the atmosphere toward the right on the northern hemisphere and toward the left on the southern hemisphere, resulting in curved paths. The deflection of the atmosphere sets up the complex global wind patterns which drive surface ocean currents. This deflection is called the Coriolis effect. And with Coriolis effect, nandun din yung Ekman spiral and as well as upwelling. So yung Ekman spiral occurs as a consequence of the Coriolis effect. When surface water molecules are moved by the wind, they drag deeper layers of water molecules below them. Ito po, surface water, and then due to the movement of wind, bumababa na yung molecules. Ayon. So like surface water, the deeper water is deflected by the Coriolis effect to the right on the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. As a result, each successively deeper layer of water moves more slowly to the right or left, creating a spiral effect. So because of this, yung Ekman spiral, nag-result ito ng upwelling. So upwelling involves wind-driven motion of dense, cooler, and usually nutrient-rich water from deep water towards the ocean surface. It replaces the warm and usually nutrient-depleted surface water. The nutrient-rich upwelled water stimulates the growth and reproduction of primary producers such as plankton. So sa Zamboanga Peninsula po, known to have an upwelling region. Example po sa study nila Villanoy, ito yung sa northeast monsoon, direction ng wind, so February, and And the temperature, water temperature here is much colder than compared to other seasons. So dito po makikita yung spatial distribution of chlorophyll sa Zamboanga Peninsula. Yung white po yung yung land mass, while yung ang colored blue, red, ito po yung concentration of the chlorophyll content. Chlorophyll A. So may part dito na high content ng chlorophyll, other areas here as well as here. Due to the upwelling. So aside from wind-driven, there is also thermohaline-driven circulation or the conveyor belt circulation. This describes the movement of deep currents which form at the surface in high latitudes where they become cold and dense, so they sink. Yung convection current po, di ba, warm water, cold air sinks, warm air rises. Ganon din po yung yung theory dito. So yung warm air sinks pala. Yung warm current in the Gulf Stream in Mexico moves up to the north, and then sa area na yon nagsisink sila, and then it moves down to the south, and then gumagawa lang siya ng current ay ng convection ng shallow current. So yung belt na to parang ginagawa yung sample ng sa mga Japanese na mga conveyor belts sa sushi, ganun yung nangyayari dito sa current na na water current. So yung warm water sa umaakyat from south to the north, and then it sinks back to the south and to the equator, nagiging warm ulit. So there is a sea breeze and a land breeze. Ano yung sea breeze? This is the process where it takes place on the duration of the day. Both the sea and the land surface is heated by the sun. However, yung dagat is heated up slowly than the land because it has a much higher heat capacity. Thus, the temperature over the land surface increases, in turn heating up the surrounding air. Yung warm air from the land, and then it sinks down ang cooler air from the sea. So sa umaga, mga tanghali, medyo breezy siya. And then opposite naman sa gabi, yung land breeze, duration of the night, where the process gets reversed. The land and the sea starts cooling down during the sunsets. As the heat capacity of the land is different from the sea, it cools down faster. So from land mismo, nagiging breezy siya, yung cool air galing sa land, and then yung sa water, bumabalik ng warm air from the ocean. With this, ma-relate siya sa monsoon, which is an air mass movement that occurs because of the difference of air pressure that strikes between the land and ocean, and it occurs because the land starts to warm up and cooling down faster than in water. It causes the air temperature on land to be hotter than in the sea on the summer. And hot air on land will usually increase, and at the same time, this will create a low pressure area, creating a very constant wind that blows towards the land. So example po, ito yung African monsoon, Asian Australian monsoon, and American monsoon. So yung Asian Australian monsoon, nandun po yung East Asian monsoon, which carries yung moist air from Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean to East Asia. It affects approximately 1/3 of the global population, influencing climate of Japan, Korean Peninsula, Taiwan, China, Philippines, and the mainland Southeast Asia. So under ng East Asian monsoon, dito tinatawag natin ng mga Southwest monsoon tsaka Northeast monsoon. Yung southwest monsoon, they have a dominant westerly component and a strong tendency to ascend and produce copious amounts of rain because of the condensation of water vapor in the air, in the rising air. Usually, it occurs May to October. Dito po, kung ito po Philippines, yung southwest monsoon, pag ganon yung direction from the south up to from the southwest papuntang taas. On opposite naman yung northeast monsoon or yung amihan, which have a dominantly easterly component and a strong tendency to diverge, subside, and cause drought. Usually occurs November to April from northeast. Dito po siya sa taas, pababa. So ito po yung climate map of the Philippines. I think, I'm not sure, pero nung time namin, I think lumabas ito sa exam. So 4 types of the climate here in the Philippines. So from type 1 to type 4, yung type 1, ito in this area, well, type 2, yung yellow, type 3, and yung type 4 mostly in the Mindanao. So yung type 1, 2 pronounced season, dry from November to April and wet during the rest of the year. The maximum rain period is from June to September. Ito po. Yung type 2, no dry season with a very pronounced maximum rain period from December to February. There is not a single dry month. Minimum monthly rainfall occurs during the period from March to May. Type 2, majority of the provinces in the country. So type 3 po, no very pronounced maximum rain period with a dry season lasting only from 1 to 3 months, either during the period from December to February or from March to May. This type resembles type 1 since it has a short dry season. And then type 4, rainfall is more or less evenly distributed throughout the year. This type resembles type 2 since it has no dry season. So moving on to El Nino Southern Oscillation or ENSO and La Nina. So El Nino is a warming of the ocean surface or above average sea surface temperature in the central and eastern tropical Pacific. Over Indonesia, here po, warming of the sea surface temperature. Over Indonesia, rainfall tends to increase while rainfall decreases over the Pacific Ocean. Dito po, nag-increase na yung rainfall, pero sa Pacific Ocean, yung nag-accumulate yung init. So the normally easterly winds along the equator becomes even stronger. Opposite naman po yung sa La Nina. Baliktad yung description. Yung description po na nabasa ko is for La Nina, which again, I will repeat na lang po. La Nina is the cooling of the ocean surface or below sea surface temperature. Ito yung blue sa taas. And then in the central and eastern tropical Pacific, over Indonesia, rainfall tends to increase while rainfall decreases over the central tropical Pacific. The normally easterly winds along the equator became even stronger. So yung rain dito, yung easterlies nagdudulot ng rain, kaya grabe yung pag-ulan sa Indonesia area. Opposite po yung sa El Nino, which is yung sea surface temperature above the average level na siya, average temperature. Yung rainfall sa around Indonesia is reduced, while dito sa Pacific Ocean, tropical Pacific Ocean, is rainfall increases. The low-level surface winds, which normally blow from east to west along the equator, instead weaken or in some cases start blowing the other direction from west to east. Yung easterlies natin dito sa equator, sa northern hemisphere, nagiging opposite na yung direction niya. So ito po yung how tropical storms are formed. Due to high humidity and ocean temperatures of over 26 degrees Celsius are major contributing factors. So first, yung water nag-evaporate from the ocean surface and comes into contact with a mass of clouds of cold air forming clouds. The column of low pressure develops at the center. Winds form around the column. Ito po. As the pressure in the central column of the eye weakens, the speed of the wind around it increases. So yan po, usually occurs yung sa tropical storm sa Pacific Ocean. And then Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with the wind depending on the speed of the winds. So category 1 po nila is 119 to 153, while sa category 2 is 154 to 177. I think sa Amerika po ito na category yung mga storms. So next po is the parts of the waves. So dito po yung parts ng waves. So yung crest is the upper part ng wave and trough is the lower part. Tapos yung wavelength is length between the two crests and the height is from crest and trough. So yung frequency is the number of wave crests passing point A or point B by each second. And period is the time required for wave crest at point A to reach point B. So yung animation po, pinapakita yung orbital motion of particles in a surface wave. Sa taas po, malaki po yung orbital motion. And then sa baba na at lower depth, nagiging maliit na lang yung motion. So wave interface, the air-water interface wherein it is the ocean waves or surface waves. Air interface or the atmospheric waves. These are often represented by a ripple-like clouds in the sky. And atmospheric waves are especially common when cold fronts move into an area. The internal waves are the waves that travel along the boundary between waters of different density. They are associated with a picnocline, and internal waves can be much larger than surface waves with heights exceeding 100 meters. So yung ito po on how the waves travel. So usually air-water interface, yung sa top sea surface is yung may mga wave due to the air movement. Yun po. And then underwater naman, earthquake may cause at tsunami. So there may difference din po yung tsunami versus storm surge. Usually ang tsunami is caused by the earthquake and storm surge is the rise in sea level resulting from a low atmospheric pressure associated with storms and the accumulation of water driven forward by the winds. So example po ito ng tsunami sa Thailand dati wherein may earthquake dito and nag-rise yung seawater until how many meters or feet above sea level. Ito po yung nangyari sa kanila. So ito po yung motion ng wind waves approaching the shore. So makikita natin to usually spilling breaker or spilling waves wherein it occurs on gradually sloping ocean bottoms. The crest of a spilling wave slides down the face of the wave as it breaks on shore. Plunging waves break violently against the shore, leaving an air-filled tube or channel between the crest and foot of the wave. Plunging waves are formed when waves approach a shore over a steeply sloped form. And then surging are the waves built up and break right at the shoreline, so board surfers tend to avoid them. For body surfers, however, these waves present the greatest challenge. Yung plunging wave usually sa mga surfers po. So next is as seen on yung tides, movement ng tide is example po dito. Yung boat at early in the morning, makikita na yung sa water, yung mataas yung water and due to the tide. Paghapon, ito na nangyari, na-reach na niya yung bottom and very dry na yung area. So it is due to extreme tidal variation, wherein high and low tides in a small harbor near Nova Scotia, Canada, demonstrate the dramatic change of sea level experienced daily. So tides are periodic raising and lowering of sea level that occurs daily throughout the ocean. It is mostly due to the interactions of the Earth, Sun, and the Moon, gravity pull of the Moon. So meron po tayong ebb tide at flood current. Yung tidal cycles, make three main cycles po, diurnal, semi-diurnal, and mixed semi-diurnal. Yung diurnal, there is only one tide, one high tide, and one low tide within the day, while semi-diurnal, dalawang high tide, and dalawang low tide. Yung mixed semi-diurnal naman is the tide cycle where a mixed, it experiences two high and two low tides of different sizes every lunar day. So ang Philippines is considered na mixed semi-diurnal, pero predominantly din na diurnal siya. Next, ito po yung spring tide and the neap tides. Due to the movement of the moon. So during new moon, meron pong extreme high tide and full moon. While sa neap tide, modest high tide during waxing and first quarter and third quarter. So since may tidal area, there is also the intertidal zone. Ito po example ng intertidal zone sa beach. Tapos different species makikita. Example itong chiton. Ito po other examples ng intertidal zone. So this is the area of the ocean floor within the foreshore region that is covered by the highest normal tides and exposed by the lowest normal tides, including this water environment of tide pools within this region. Next po ay yung global carbon cycle, wherein yung carbon stock natin dito sa Earth crust around 100 million. And as you can see dito sa ocean, yung carbon stock is 38,000. So yung ocean natin is most of which formed of dissolved inorganic carbon stored at great depths where it resides for long periods of time. A much smaller amount of carbon, approximately 1,000 pg, is located near the ocean surface. This carbon is exchanged rapidly with the atmosphere through both physical processes such as CO2, carbon dioxide gas dissolving into the water, and biological processes such as the growth, death, and decay of the plankton. Yung sa crust po, biggest storage ng carbon largest amount of carbon on Earth is stored there, on the sedimentary rocks with the planet's crust. These rocks produced either by the hardening of mud into shale over geological time, or by the collection of calcium carbonate particles from the shells and skeletons of marine organisms into limestones and other carbon-containing sedimentary rocks. As well sa atmosphere, mayroon carbon storage dyan. It contains approximately 750 pgc, most of which is the form of CO2, carbon dioxide, with much smaller amounts of methane and other compounds. Although this is considerably less carbon than that contained in the oceans or crust, carbon in the atmosphere is of vital importance because of its influence on the greenhouse effect and climate. And then in the terrestrial ecosystem, mostly sa plants, animals, and soils and microorganisms. We also stored carbon storage far by the large plants and soils are by far the largest, and when dealing with entire globe, the smaller pools are often ignored. So ito po yung relationship between physical and biological oceanography with the carbon cycle. Sa physical oceanography and carbon cycle, dito makita yung CO2 fluxes, carbonate, modulation, air-sea relationship, chemistry, modulation of biology, and carbonate chemistry. Sa physical and biological oceanography, makikita dito yung nutrient fluxes, mixed layer depths dynamics, yung mga upwelling, downwelling, and plankton growth rates. And then carbon cycle and biological oceanography is the net primary production and respiration. So there may term din tayo na carbon sink, which is a reservoir, natural or otherwise, that accumulates and stores some carbon containing chemical compounds for an indefinite period of time, and thereby lowers the concentration of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So yung water ay yung ocean is a good carbon sink. And then may tinatawag na ngayon na blue carbon, which is designates carbon that is fixed by the ocean ecosystem, such as mangrove, salt marshes, and seagrass. And they make up a majority of ocean plant life and store large quantities of carbon. So example po ng mangrove. So it is a term for carbon captured by the world's ocean and coastal ecosystems. And seagrasses, mangrove, salt marshes, and other systems along the coast are very efficient in storing CO2. These areas are also absorb and store carbon at a much faster rate than any other areas, such as forests, and can continue to do so for millions of years. The carbon found in coastal soil is often thousands of years old. When these systems are damaged or disrupted by human activity, an enormous amount of carbon is emitted back into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change. So is the seawater acidic or basic? In terms of pH,
Dalawa taas.
acidic po ba yung seawater or basic?
Palong.
Ano eh?
Palong. Palong man.
In terms of pH po, di ba neutral is 7. So what do you think is the seawater? Would it be slightly basic towards 14 or very acidic towards 1?
Basic.
Yes. So seawater is basic with more than around 8 yung pH level niya. Slightly alkaline due to the dissolved basic minerals and the natural buffering from carbonates and bicarbonates in the water. So ito po yung ang ocean, aside from being a carbon sink, is a great buffer system since the buffering protects the ocean from getting too acidic or too basic. So, pagdating ng atmospheric CO2, magdi-dissolve na siya, and then to carbonic acid, bicarbonate, hydrogen, and carbonate ions, and then it will be deposited as calcite compensation at the compensation depth. So mag-iba na dito yung yung property. So if seawater is too basic, carbonic acid will be into magiging bicarbonate ions na siya, and the pH drops. So if it is too acidic, yung bicarbonate plus hydrogen nagiging carbonic acid to increase the pH. So temperatures are warm near the equator, so the evaporation rates are high enough to increase the salinity. Increased precipitation and runoff partially offsets the high salinity though. For example, daily rain showers are common along the equator, adding water to the ocean and lowering its salinity. So sea surface temperature in red is lowest at the poles here, around 34, while the sea surface salinity in green is lowest as well as the poles, peaking at the tropic of Cancer and Capricorn and dips near the equator. The presence of large amount of runoff from land in northern latitude causes salinity to be lower there as compared to equivalent latitudes in the southern hemisphere. Then meron po yung process ng ocean acidification, wherein yung shell as time goes by, if hindi na buffer agad ng ocean, magdi-dissolve na siya due to high acidic content. So when carbon dioxide is absorbed by the ocean from the atmosphere, the chemistry of seawater is changed. So when carbon dioxide is absorbed by seawater, chemical reactions occur and reduce seawater pH. Yun po yung pag-buffer, carbon ion concentration, and saturation of biologically important calcium carbonates, which may result to ocean acidification. So results, example ng effect ng ocean acidification, yung mga coccolithophore, nagiging brittle, same with theropod, yung mga sea urchin, nagde-dissolve yung calcium carbonate nila, and since corals are also made up with skeleton of calcium carbonate, nagiging brittle na din sila due to high acid content in the water. So sa biological taxonomy, ito yung oceanography, ito yung start with basic taxonomic nomenclature by Linnaeus, from kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. And the marine organisms are classified as the following. Yung plankton, they are drifters, usually phytoplankton or zooplankton. Yung phytoplankton are known to be autotrophs since they produce their own food, and then through photosynthesis. Yung heterotroph naman, na zooplankton, they are animals that eat the phytoplankton. Next are the nectons, or the swimmers, free swimming marine organisms, such as the fish, ang mga whales, dolphins, squids, and deep abyssal fishes. And the third is the benthos, or the bottom dwellers, yung mga corals, crabs, sea urchins, sea squirt, sea lily, na ganon. Basta attached siya sa benthic area. However, meron ding marine organisms na yung cycle ng squid, they are meroplanktonic during larvae, tapos benthic egg sacs are sa sa seafloor, and then when they lumaki na sila, magiging sila ang planktonic larvae resulting to nectonic adults. So they experience the three basic marine classifications sa dagat. So next is, ito yung satellite na nakuha ko din from NASA year 2018. It shows the chlorophyll A concentration for that year, average concentration. So yung red dito sa taas, mostly sa northern area, tapos the Philippines, mapapansin natin na medyo nag-green siya, so around 1 mg per cubic meter na lang yung content ng chlorophyll A. Dito sa China, orange, medyo mataas. And sa Indonesia. So yung chlorophyll A content, we can use it to determine the primary productivity of the area in which it is the rate of the energy is stored by organisms through the formation of organic matter using energy derived from solar radiation during photosynthesis. Ito yung mga phytoplankton nag-photosynthesize to produce their own food. Or yung sa hydrothermal vents, they use sulfuric acid, hydrogen sulfide, for chemosynthesis. However, ang same lang naman yung process. However, yung sa hydrothermal vent is instead of CO2, gumagamit sila ng hydrogen sulfide, and then water, carbon dioxide, oxygen, then chemosynthesis to produce sugar and sulfuric acid. So again, sa Zamboanga Peninsula, ma-determine yung primary production due to high content of chlorophyll, wherein because di ba sa upwelling naging marami yung yung zooplankton. Yung zooplankton doon pwede ma-determine yung chlorophyll content, and then because maraming zooplankton, nagiging marami yung mga isda. So ecosystem energy flow and trophic level. Yung energy flow is from the sun, source of energy, para makapag-produce yung primary producers natin, which is usually plankton, phytoplankton, mga seagrass, and then yung consumer, kakainin yan, and then may maglalabas yung heat energy when are dissipated, and mechanical energy and then it died. Balik lang yung cycle. Sa trophic level naman, trophic level 1 is the producers, followed by kakainin siya ng higher trophic na mga consumers. For example, yung phytoplankton, yan ang kinakain ng zoo, then by ibang species ng mga isda, until na trophic level 5, usually apex predator, kung walang shark, kundi mga human, yun yung kukuha sa mga isda. So ito example ng coral reef ecosystem. From sunlight, yung corals nagpo-produce ng pagkain para sa iba't ibang isda, and then other species of fish kinakain yung ibang isda, and then yung apex predator, yung mga shark. So there is this thing na tinatawag na trophic cascade, yung bottom up at saka top down. Yung sa top down, yung top consumer or predator controls the primary consumer population. Example dito, sa top down, yung mga eagle, kinakain niya yung yung isda na kumakain dito sa mga krill or zooplankton na kumakain sa phytoplankton. So, yung biomass as time passes, yung predators decrease dito kasi konti na lang yung pagkain. However, dito sa bottom up, since yung biomass ng ocean, let's say na nagiging malaki siya because as time passes by, yung biomass ng phytoplankton nag-increase, which hindi naman lahat nauubos ng zooplankton, tapos kinakain din siya ng mga isda or other carnivores. So this satellite data shows the sea surface temperature in 2010. In comparison, at 2020 na medyo in this area nagiging orange na siya. Yung blue is cold and then yung yellow orange to red is hotter. So in this area compared here, makikita natin na nagiging mas mainit yung sea surface temperature as well as here. Compared dito na dito lang abot yung yung init and then in this area. So this is due to the global warming and climate change, which can result to increase the surface temperature, resulting to coral bleaching, and then yung mga polyps sa coral na mamatay or na-stress, kaya yung coral area mismo nagiging pangit na siya as seen as sa Great Barrier Reef dahil sa part ito ng Great Barrier Reef due to high temperature or salinity or whatever causes the stress, aside sa including yung yung global warming, and then nagiging bleach coral and yung ecosystem doon mapangit na. That's all lang po. So few of my references. Yan lang
Thank you
po.
so much, Ma'am Jane.
Thank you po.
So, mga participants po natin, naliwanagan po kayo. So, if you have any question to Ma'am Jane, feel free to ask po. Ready po siyang sumagot. Huwag po kayong mahiya. Gusto niyo pong magtanong ng tips, pwedeng-pwede po.
Or if you want na may mga questions din kayo outside of this, you can also contact me wag lang sa Facebook kasi hindi ako nag-chat. Pwede naman sa email ko na lang, i-type ko na lang dito.
Ayan. So, any questions? Ito, check natin. Ito yung evaluate. Ito pala yung post-test. Check natin kung meron bang improvement. And while answering, baka meron kayong gustong itanong, mga tips, huwag kayong mahiya. Baka meron kayong mga possible na lalabas sa exam. Kasi Oceanog, ang daming naalala ko nung time na kumuha ko, Coriolis effect, lumabas siya
Basta yung Oceanog, interrelated lang kasi siya.
Okay. Jane, pa-stop share na lang ako. Okay, and everyone, nakikita nyo na yung post-test?
Yes, ma'am. Okay po.
Okay, sige. Thank you. Question to Ma'am Jane. Baka meron kayong gustong itanong. Nahihiya kayo? Wala kayong tanong? Ibig sabihin, naiintindihan ninyo. So please answer the post test para nakita namin. Hindi po ako naka-receive, ma'am. Ito siya. Ito yung exam. Sandali. Baka meron kayong tips na gustong itanong. Baka merong tips si Ma'am Jane na hindi ninyo na rinig from our previous speakers. Feel free to ask. Huwag kayong mahiya kasi lisensya ninyo ang nakasalalay dyan. I mean, baka merong mga tips. Ma'am Jane, meron ka bang gustong i-share na mga tips? Baka nahihiya lang yung ating students. Ano yung naging naging mga ginawa mo, mga pamahiin or ever tips na ginawa? Why, bakit napasan niyo yung exam on one take only? Parang mga ganon.
Ang ginawa ko kasi that time, yung org sa fisheries sa UPB, sila, may free training din. Ay, free ba yun? Basta sa SIPDEC, tapos nagtulong sila. And then, yung ginawa ko, inalam ko kung ano yung kaya yung first thing na ginawa ko is skim through everything. Example, I'm into marine biology, mga aquatic ecology. So, nag-skim muna ako dyan first thing sa pag-aral ko. And then, yung following that, yung pinakababa ko talaga na grades, yung aquaculture, tsaka fisheries, yung fish processing. Sa fish processing, binasa ko talaga yung libro back-to-back ilang beses. Pero may nagsabi na hindi yan talaga yung Bible. So, nasad ako. Pero at least mataas yung score ko dyan compared sa aquaculture. Kasi mababa talaga yung, hindi talaga ako magaling sa aquaculture. So, doon talaga ako nag-focus. Pero, sad to say, hindi naman gaano kataas. Pero happy lang ako kasi yung confidence ko sa capture fisheries tsaka sa aquatic eco, talaga na naging mataas talaga yung score ko. Although need nyo din mag-study everything, kung ano makikita niyo kahit mga scientific name. Kasi naalala ko yung mga Gloria fish ata lumabas sa amin. Hindi ko alam yan kung ano yan. So, need nyo rin magbasa ng current na mga news regarding sa fisheries. And I heard na si Sir Kini na at saka Sir Bailon yung
Yes. Oo,
yung
Dr.
sa board.
Yes, and Dr. Bailon. Dr. Kinicho is expert in capture and then Dr. Bailon is aquaculture. So, heads up na sila last time. So, sabihin rin sila na kung ano yung specialty ng ating mga board of examiners, they should study. Maghanap na sila ng mga references kasi available lahat ngayon sa internet. Yes, recorded. Recorded yung natin, ating session today. Okay, yes, Jane, additional pa?
Yung kay Sir Kinicho na mga yung naging teacher ko din siya sa sa fishing grounds na subject. Nag-discuss kami ng mga fishing gears, tapos aquaculture and ecology, ganon, effect ng aquaculture sa ecosystem. Tapos yung mga pinamemorize din sa amin mga bodies of water dito, kung anong top 10 ng biggest lakes, top 10 ng mga bays, mga ganon. Sa whole Philippines, minemorize namin yun.
Yes, that is true. Memorize talaga. Memorize pagdating sa capture. Diba? Naalala niyo mga previous lessons natin, more on memorization talaga. Siyempre, understanding din. So, may nakita ko improvement. Very good, everyone. May mga naka-perfect. Nakakatuwa. Ibig sabihin, nakikinig. Merong mga 19 yung scores, merong perfect scores. Ayan, matataas na, more than 80%. And then, Wow, merong improvement. So, congratulations everyone. Pwede tayong mag-on ng cam so that we can take a picture with our speaker. Everyone. Ayan, so Ma'am Jane, this is our participants. They are from different universities and institutions. So sila yung ating suke. Okay, so this is Ma'am Jane.
Hello po.
Supportive ang friend na si Jeff.
Hello.
Okay, so mag-screenshot ako. Kasi syempre, ano namin to for ano din. And then please accomplish, page 1. Please accomplish po yung ating tawag dito, attendance sheet and evaluation. Now, with the permission of Ma'am Jane, i-upload ko po tonight ang presentation niya and then the video recording. So sa mga late, sa mga may hina yung internet ngayon, you can go back kasi meron tayo mga interactive kanina, mga ang tawag dito, mga animated na nakalagay sa presentation. So it's better na balikan ninyo yung recording today. So if you don't have any questions, if you want na ano na lang kay Ma'am Jane, email, you are free with her permission. So thank you so much everyone. So see you again on April 2. So our topic is about, doon na tayo sa aquaculture. Lahat ng ating mga learning materials are uploaded in the Google Classroom. Please magbasa po tayo. Every day magbasa po tayo para lahat ng mga nandun, ma-absorb natin. So thank you so much everyone. See you again on April 2. Thank you ulit Ma'am Jane. Thank you so much.
Thank you din.
Thank you po.
Thank you. Bye everyone.
Thank you po, ma'am.
So may mga questions, mag-PM lang kayo doon ha, kasi nagre-reply naman ako
Thank
agad.
you, ma'am, and God bless po.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Bye po.
Bye.